I'm Yasmin Gagne.
I'm Josh Christensen.
And this is Most Innovative Companies Video Edition. So, Josh, now that Shein may be faced with tariffs, what are you doing
I order
for
one
your
thing
work
from
clothes?
Shein. I order one thing from Shein, and you'll never let me live it down. I order most of my things from Temu. Get it right. What am I going to do for my work clothes from now on? Oh, God. I actually am dreading this because I'm looking in my closet. It's getting a little colder. I have nothing to wear to the office. That's
Really?
Like, I need, well, I've been on Wegovy, so I lost a decent amount of weight. I've lost 45 pounds. So, like, none of my winter clothes from last year fit very well. So now I have to buy all new clothes, and I don't really know where to go. Like, I don't want to go to, like, the H&M's or Zara's because those clothes
just fall apart.
I'm gonna call they fall apart, and they're also the most uncomfortable fabric.
Super itchy.
Ever.
Super itchy.
Super itchy. I can't do it. There's one brand that's like Built Basics. Do you know that brand that I've ordered a few things from?
No.
Yeah, they're like, it's just like kind of like basic essential layers of clothing. It's like solid, like solid colored polos and solid colored button down shirts and stuff like that. I've gotten a couple things from there, but I really don't know where to go. You need to give me some suggestions.
I am like very loyal to Gap and J. Crew. I always have been.
J. Crew stuff doesn't fit me super well.
Really?
I like the style of their
like
stuff.
Slim cut men's stuff, which is like...
Yeah.
I
mean, I haven't gotten too many like shirts or tops from there, but the pants never fit me right.
The
It's always
sweaters,
a
their
mess.
sweaters are good, and they're like always well priced. And they have discounts all the time. I feel the same way about Gap. I've been on the Gap train before it became new and cool and Cat's Eye got involved.
Yeah,
Mostly because
that
I'm
commercial is mostly because you what?
Because I'm cheap.
I mean, I love a good cheap staple. I mean,
Also Uniqlo.
I'll go to an
Uniqlo's
Old
always
Navy.
good.
Uniqlo, I sleep on Uniqlo. They probably do have some good
You
stuff.
do sleep
for me.
on
That's-
Uniqlo, dude. Their technical fabrics are very impressive. Anyway, the reason we're talking about fashion is because we spoke with Katie Tidwell, LaFleur's SVP of Sales and Operations. Workwear brand LaFleur makes versatile, office-appropriate, affordable clothing for professionals. The company raised money from traditional VC firms prior to the pandemic, but following the pandemic and after D2C winter set in, the company struggled. Its lender also collapsed. We spoke with Katie Tidwell, the company's Senior Vice President of Sales and Operations, about how LaFleur raised $3 million from its biggest fans and individual female investors, and how it became profitable. Here's that conversation. You've been with the company for a pretty long time. Tell me about how you joined, why you joined. Tell me all that.
Yeah, of course. So I will be celebrating 10 years with this fall.
Yeah.
Which is kind of wild. I joined kind of right as they were taking off. I had recently moved to New York, had always wanted to work in fashion, and really was like drawn to the mission. And so it's been a really great ride. I think I've been able to see many versions of the company. Like there was the, early crazy years of the company. There was the really tough years of COVID. And then the rebuilding years, which is what we're in right now. And so it's been interesting.
So I want to talk about some of those eras, right?
Yeah.
I think we all remember when direct-to-consumer companies were so hot. LaFleur raised some money. Tell me when you saw things kind of start to change. When VCs were like, I don't know about this, and why you think that is.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us in particular, like we noticed a big shift around actually right before COVID. I think like a lot of our directed priorities early on were like growth at all costs.
Right. And how did you pursue that? Was it advertising, marketing?
Yeah, we really invested pretty heavily in digital advertising. And a big part of that was our bento service. And so that was a trial model. You filled out a survey, you were sent pieces, you kept what you wanted and then sent it back. And that really helped a lot of our growth early on. But I think as we internally started to feel like we need to focus on more than like top line growth, really took a look at it and just like decided that bento wasn't a sustainable, profitable channel for us. And so we sunset that in August of 2019. And we're really focused on stores and retail, and then COVID hit.
Yeah. And to stick with bento, you're relaunching it, right?
Yes.
So why if it didn't work the first time, what's the plan?
Yes. So we have relaunched bento. We relaunched it in April 2024, in name and in spirit. I will say.
Yeah.
The operations are a little bit different. And so we really wanted to go back and say, like, okay, what worked about bento before, which was the stylist assistance, having personal curated looks, kind of pushing customers to like go outside their comfort zone a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We felt like that was really important to maintain. And then we thought through like, what are the pieces of this experience that aren't sustainable? A big part of it was like the inventory. And even just like the ops of sending someone all of this product and not actually charging their credit card for it. And so with our relaunch, we took the best pieces of the original bento with updated operations and flows, and relaunched in April of 2024. And it's been great.
So what does it look like now?
Yeah. So now a customer will come to our site. They will still fill out a survey. And then they will text actually back and forth with a stylist. The stylist will say, yeah, it's like, I saw your survey.
Is it a human stylist or an AI stylist?
It's a human stylist.
It's a human stylist.
It's a human stylist. Although that's not to say we're not playing around with like, enhancing it a little bit. And the stylist will text with the customer, ask a few clarifying questions, put together a digital lookbook, text it to you. It will have a note, it will have pairing options, and then you'll look through it, pick the pieces you're most confident in, and purchase those directly.
So it's a recommendation rather than sending the actual clothes and getting them back. Yeah.
Exactly. Although without giving too much away, we're coming up with an updated version. We're probably going to beta test actually next week, that tries to like add a little bit of that surprise element back in. Because I do think what's really great about our stores is our team is able to really build trust and say like, just trust us, just try it. And that's so hard to do on a website. And so we're continuing to try to think through how we can bring that to life a little bit.
To go back to our earlier conversation about, VC funding and pursuing this growth at all cost model, we saw a lot of direct-to-consumer brands, launch brick-and-mortar stores. Tell me what that decision was like, what those conversations would like, and then we'll get to the pandemic after that. Yeah. And tell me a little bit about your brick-and-mortar strategy now.
Of course. So brick-and-mortar has always been part of our DNA. So even when I started 10 years ago, we had a showroom right next to our office. And that was a really important way for us to get, customer feedback, see what the product's looking like in real life. And then it, slowly grew from there. I think we've certainly found that omni-channel customers are just a lot stickier, have a lot higher LTV. And so we really wanted to create, different ways for her to interact with us. When we've opened stores, we're traditionally looking at where do we have a really high concentration of e-commerce customers. But we've certainly pivoted our strategy since COVID and even before that, like when we first launched retail, we were strictly appointment-based shopping. And so we were kind of trying to mimic actually the bento where like you fill out a survey, you then come in. And I think that really resonated with a subsect of our customers, but not all of them. Some people just want to come in.
Also don't want to buy 6 things, what I mean? Like
Exactly. And so when I started to get more involved in retail, made it actually a big push to try and like it sounds crazy, but like get people comfortable with customers coming in without appointments. It was just like, anyone that comes in is great.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter
Yeah.
if she has an appointment or not. Let's not be so startled by it. We sell clothes
Yeah.
to anyone.
How do you think about holding inventory in stores? We've seen some direct-to-consumer stores adopt this model where you just try things on in a showroom and then they get sent to you. Others think it's better to have all the clothes there. How do you think about that?
We do a little bit of a mix. Previously, when we were like strictly showroom model, almost everything was shipped from our warehouse. It is just a lot more of an efficient use of inventory. What we started to keep track of, though, was what are the lost sales? Because like we do have people who come and say, I have an interview tomorrow. I just tried on my suit. Nothing fits. Like if you can't give it to me right now, I don't need it in a week. I need it tomorrow. Yeah. And so in some of our stores, what we started to do is like, what are our core products? How can we have more of that in stock and really kind of like build up that inventory? And then as we've opened more stores post-COVID, we've really had this hybrid approach where they do take appointments, but like they look like a normal store. They have fully stocked shelves. And then, of course, launching things like ship from store just helps us be even more efficient with our inventory. And so, we're able to really kind of have one pool of inventory for all customers, regardless of where they are.
Now, the challenges of COVID for an LaFleur are pretty obvious on the surface. And it's been a while since COVID, so I don't think we need to dwell on them too much. But I'm thinking of people working from home, so not wearing workwear as much. I'm thinking of, people not going to the office as much. The fact that people couldn't go to your stores. But I guess I also think we've seen a sort of more permanent shift. People are going to the office less now than they did before. I think people are generally more casual than they were before. How have you reacted to that as a business?
Yeah. I certainly think like the dress codes across all industries have become a lot more relaxed. And so we've tried to adapt to that, and I think, have expanded our product assortment a lot. We've launched a material called Better Than Denim, which, is a little bit up from a jean. I also think where we've done a lot of investment and I've seen a really big increase in our business is the jacket business. I think it's so common for women to like throw on a jacket over jeans and a tee. And so we've really tried to understand like how is she dressing right now? And also we've, from a storytelling perspective, really tried to show the versatility and, like you can wear this in the office, but you can also wear it working from home. And I think having machine washable, easy to wear products just like really helps continue to like push that message forward.
The fashion industry has had so many challenges because of tariffs.
Yeah.
How has that impacted your company, and have you had to like shift any of your logistics?
Yeah. It's had a significant impact on us. I think, going into 2025, probably 75 to 80% of our products were meant to be coming in from China.
Wow.
And we had really deep partnerships with our factories there. And so, when tariffs first started and it increased slightly, we were able to still bring product in. And then as it just like escalated so quickly, we just had to halt bringing in product for a while. And
were you just selling out a lot, basically, or?
We're feeling it now, actually. And so what we've had to do is we've had to just like really improve our inventory turn. And we've had to get a little bit creative around like, what do we have to sell right now? And, there's all sort of like repercussions in terms of like we had product we were going to launch in May that then we couldn't bring it in time because we didn't know if we were going to be able to afford to because of the tariffs. But we already had photos because we had the photo sample. Yeah. And, there's just like so many little things across like the whole spectrum that impact it. Like we still have some products on our site right now that are in other images and customers are like, oh my gosh, like, can I buy that? And we're like,
other thing. And you're
we are
like,
so sorry you cannot. It was meant to be for sale, but it's not right now.
Have you rejiggered? Have you started using other factories or manufacturing partners? Like, how is that going right now?
Yeah. I think, like, all credit to our production team and our product development team. Like, they've truly been working around the clock since all of this started in Q1. And we've developed factory relationships in Turkey. We've strengthened ones in Peru. We've started to look into more in Vietnam and the Philippines. And so building up relationships and shifting what we can, I think the reality is that it takes time. And we're still somewhat of a small business. And so I think as more larger companies are also shifting to other countries, it's even
you're competing with them, right? And
exactly. And the minimum order quantities, like there's a lot that goes into it, and it's been a real puzzle to solve.
To go back to sort of the VC era of funding everything and pursuing growth at all costs, you've had LaFleur has had a fascinating kind of fundraising story, and I think we'll get to what happened in 2024 soon. But when did you realize, like, maybe we're not going to go for another VC round? Or when were your investors kind of like, where's our $1 billion return? You know what I mean? Was there a turning point?
I think, honestly, COVID was a big one. I think a lot of our investors at the time saw, like, truthfully, what a nosedive our business was in and kind of wrote us off. Not all, but most.
Purely because of workwear generally just being a category that didn't seem super resilient?
Yeah. It was like a little bit of a light switch. Like, I think Sarah has shared this before, but February of 2020 was like our top performing collection. We had just opened a new store, and we were like, oh, this is it.
Like, we made it.
Yeah, exactly. And oh my, how we were wrong. And so I think, like, as 2020 progressed, that's really when some of our previous VCs were like, you know what, we're ready to, like, throw in the towel on you guys. And so I think, Sarah has always been really thoughtful about who she brings on from an investor perspective, and wants to make sure that it's someone who also, like, truly believes in the brand and truly believes in the future of the brand. And so that's kind of where she's been focused for, the last few years.
We, ran an article in 2024 about how you all brought in a group of 25 female investors to raise about $3 million. And before we talk about that in and of itself, what led you to be in such a dire position?
Yeah. So it's pretty common, I will say, for retailers to use ABLs, or like asset-based lenders, because there's a lot of seasonality in the business. And so our lender actually went under and caused... Sarah, I think, has joked, like, wow, we thought COVID was a challenge. That was so shocking. And I think, like, it put us in a position where we needed to have enough to make sure we could continue operations. And so, as Sarah said, like, she is nothing but, like, an incredibly creative problem solver.
But it sounds like you all went back to VC investors who basically said no because the multiple returns they were expecting were no. Family offices, like, talk through all the options you explored and then how you came up with this last one.
Yeah. Part of it was also a very condensed time frame. And so she needed to act very quickly.
Yeah.
And so I think she had a few exploratory conversations and just felt like this probably isn't going to be quick enough for what I need to do. And so, went out to this group of women, and some of them included customers. And it was, like, really, really amazing to see. I remember sitting on that Zoom call. It was a Friday afternoon
with, like, 25 women who agreed to put in money.
Yeah.
What was the average, like, donation is not the right word. What was the average investment?
The investment?
Yeah.
I actually don't know that off the top of my head. But there was certainly a range. I think the minimum that we were able to take was $15,000. And then there were certainly some who wrote significantly bigger checks. But it was like a really it was really interesting to be on that call, to see the turnout. I know this was written about in the Fast Company article, but like such a shift in terms of like who was writing the checks, which was really great to see.
Yeah, so I want to talk a little more about that. Like, the people writing the checks previously were generally not women, it's fair to say.
Generally not women.
Why do you think... I think the why is also there's just still aren't as many female investors, but also, why do you think the women who did write you a check in that round do it? Like, what were they seeing that maybe other investors weren't?
Yeah. I think, to talk about some of the customers that participated, for instance, like the customers in that round were pretty longstanding customers. And I think what has like set apart is our community. Mm-hmm. Yes, we have great products, but there's something really special about the community. And I think it was really great to see those women recognizing that, celebrating that, and supporting that. And even like, some of them spoke on that call a little bit too. And I think I think like the fundamentals of the business are really strong, and so that also helps.
Yeah. You're profitable, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're it's I think like we've talked a little bit internally about like, wow, we're still standing post-COVID, and like what a celebration that is. And so it hasn't been without the challenges. And last year with the lender collapse was certainly one of them.
Now, Sarah's talked about, having a mission or a new mission to make the company fully female funded. What's it going to take?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I can say that, but I think she's working on it. It kind of comes down to our core mission, and we really believe that when women succeed, the world is a better place. And so we, to the extent that we can, try and work with female-owned or at least female-run factories. We look through that in the vendors that we work with. And so I think it's just another way to kind of like bring that through. And we've like certainly have had supportive male investors, but I think when it's a woman, she just like gets the product and gets the mission and just, it's a little bit easier for her to understand the value.
That makes a lot of sense. When we talk about the future of I'm curious about how you're thinking of expanding the brand. A few data points I would say is like the ROI on social media is far lower than it was before.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of brands that have brick and mortar standalone stores go into wholesale a little more. We've also seen D2C brands that had one lane expand to a lot of different categories. How do you think about all those things?
We are certainly thinking about all of those things. I think to just like touch first on the ROI in terms of digital marketing and social media in particular, like what we've found, like many other brands, is just how competitive it continues to be and how unpredictable it continues to be. And so that's been something we've been trying to solve for the last few years. And where we've started to see some really great momentum is acquiring customers through our stores and specifically by pulling in events and launching events. And so we started to see some nice momentum there last year and have really kind of like turned it up from a priority perspective this year, which has been great to see. And, we're able to acquire a customer through an event for, 30% of the cost as we do through digital. And so it's just a lot more.
What kinds of events have been really popular?
Yeah, we've had some really great ones. We kind of categorize them a few different ways. We have some of our marquee events. And so those are geared a little bit more towards returning customers, but one of the favorites is actually a headshot event. And so we bring in a photographer, we have customers sign up, we have them, try on their jacket, of course, and then they get like a really wonderful updated headshot. So we do a few marquee events like that. We've done some collection previews with our design director. But I think what's been really great to see and where we've seen a lot of good momentum is is what we call our like sip and shops. And so that's hosting different groups in our space for cocktails, for snacks, and conversation. And that can take many different forms. Sometimes there's like a fireside chat. Sometimes it's a styling presentation. We will even work with companies who have a new class of employees coming in and who haven't quite figured out the dress code yet. And that's where we can help and partner with them on some of the content. And it's been a really great lever for us, and it's been really great to see.
But to go back to wholesale and other categories.
Yeah.
Tell me your thoughts on or where you stand there.
Yeah. Wholesale has actually been a really great growth lever for us. Mm-hmm. Our wholesale sales are up significantly to last year. And we've kind of started to dip our toes into it. So we are, doing dropship with a bunch of the majors, and looking to continue to expand into that, looking to also try and build relationships with different specialty stores. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there, and we don't really feel like we've cracked the nut yet, but we are very focused on that because, e-com is a challenged channel for a lot of brands, and we need to make sure that we have our other ones that can help us continue to grow.
That makes sense. Mm-hmm. Other categories, what else are you thinking of launching?
Yeah. I will say like our assortment continues to grow. We're trying to make sure that we're dressing her for all the occasions that she wants to get dressed for. Mm-hmm. And so, playing with formality a little bit. We are also next year really wanting to kind of like pull our price point. So we have some really luxe pieces we're launching, and then we're also trying to launch some like really more affordable entry line pieces, just to kind of stretch that a little bit more. And then, certainly continuing to test into different categories. One thing we've played around with this year is actually acting as like a bit of a marketplace. And so we do carry some other brands on our site right now.
How do you decide what other brands to carry?
We don't have a science for it yet. It's
vibes.
It's vibes. It's vibes. Yeah. I think some of it is also looking at like maybe categories. I'll give an example. So previously we had our own shoe line, and we like had invested in shoe development, and then it wasn't our biggest category, and COVID happened, and so we had to refigure where we were going to put resources, and shoes wasn't one of them. But we had historical shoe sales, and we also have a lot of customers asking us for shoe recommendations, and so we pulled on Sarah Flint as a dropship partner, and so some of it is like listening to our customer a little bit too, and honestly, some of it is even when we're styling photo shoots, we're like, what would make this look better? And that's one of the ways we do it too.
I want to talk a little bit about generative AI. Every company I talk to says they're using it, for customer service, and then also to optimize just kind of operations in the office. Are you using it any other way? Do you anticipate ever using it in shoots? Like, what are those conversations like?
We would love to try and figure out how to use it in shoots. We are on the creative side testing a few different platforms, and I don't think, who knows what I'll be saying in 3 years, but I don't think it would ever fully replace shoots, but I think there's a lot of interesting use cases. To give an example, we launched a dress in July that was like a little bit slow to sell, and we were like, oh gosh, this would actually be perfect in fall, but the model's wearing strappy sandals. And so it's like, oh, can we put her in boots? I think there's a lot of interesting use cases there. And so that's what we're starting to test and starting to see. And I think what I've tried to also have in the back of my mind is like, what are the points in the customer experience or like the interactions with the stylist where we need a human, and what are the ones where we just need like speed and efficiency, and how can we start to play around with that?
What is your best-selling piece, and why do you think it's selling so well?
It will be our Moreland jacket. It is in our origami text fabric. It is so lightweight. It is machine washable. It is wrinkle resistant. It actually, when we first launched it, we sold it in this like tiny little bag because you could fold it up super small, and then voila, pull it out, and it was wrinkle free. And it's just such a great like goes with anything piece. And so yeah, that's
Well, this was great. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Of course, thank you for having me.